Last time on The Couch. And the greatest writer of all time is Charles Dickens. Yeah, so as you all know, Charles Dickens is my favorite writer, and he's pretty popular with other people too. I think his name has become synonymous with great writing. But anyways, I thought I'd go ahead and spend this episode talking about my favorite Charles Dickens books. And I feel pretty certain that this episode is not going to do well with the views. But that is okay, because sometimes you just gotta do it for the art. You can't be worried about the views. So anyways, let's find out what's the Dickens is up with Charles Dickens. Number 5, The Pickwick Papers. Okay, so I'm going to be honest, the reason why I put this on this list is because it is just such a fun book. It's about Pickwick, this publisher, and there's also this guy, Sam Wellers, and it's just a funny book, and they have all these other stories with it, and it was Charles Dickens' first book. And really, I'm going to be honest, it's just the fun of this book that I like. It's not really probably one of his greatest stories, but, sometimes you just need to take a break from all the tragedy that's going on and Oliver Twist and Great Expectations and just relax for a while. So if you're looking for just a good time, I think the Pickwick Papers is the publisher to go to. Number 4, The Christmas Carol. Okay, so everyone listening to this probably knows about The Christmas Carol. And if you don't, I'm pretty sure you weren't born on this planet. But anyways, The Christmas Carol is about Ebenezer Scrooge and how he meets these 3 ghosts. And, commercially, with just people and critics today, it's the story that everyone seems to know about. It's the Charles Dickens books that's heralded above all other Charles Dickens books. And I gotta be honest, I really enjoy it myself. I think it's one of his greatest stories, and the only reason I put it so low on this list is because I really prefer longer stories, but this shorter story really manages to work pretty well. But anyways, I also want to say that it was actually surprisingly one of his most popular stories during the time when he created it. I mean, he wasn't getting really good critical reviews back in the day, and this story actually was one of the few that got critical acclaim for him. A lot of these other stories did not get that. So it is possible, I think, that The Christmas Carol is technically Charles Dickens' greatest book. It may not be as well known for that, but it might secretly be his greatest book that the critics are just too afraid to call it that. And you know what? To those critics, I say humbug to you. Humbug. Number 3, Nickleby. I'm going to speak quickly about this book because I kind of ran out of time talking about The Christmas Carol, which you really can't blame me for. But Nickleby is about him and his sister Kate, and he gets into all these unfortunate circumstances, which is kind of a trope with Charles Dickens. He likes to put his characters into unfortunate circumstances. But anyways, I really like the character of Nickleby and his sister Kate. I really like how they interact with each other, and I like the villainy in those 2 old people, and I'm going to have to move on to the next one, but I really don't feel like I did justice for this story. It is really one of Charles Dickens' classics. Number 2, Great Expectations. So, I don't want to get into controversial territory here, but Great Expectations might be considered by critics today as Charles Dickens' greatest work. And it's kind of a little bit tricky to say that because so many of these stories are considered his greatest, but this one has always managed to capture a lot of people. And I can see why. I loved it when I first read it. You've got Pip, and he gets all this money from an unknown source. He doesn't know where it comes from. He's trying to get this girl by becoming this aristocrat. And it really talks about a lot of class and battles between them, and just a lot of unfortunate circumstances for old Pip. Again, the unfortunate circumstance thing. But I just think this is a great book with a lot of powerful, visionary imagery, and really, I'm not doing it justice. Just check it out for yourself. And number 1, David Copperfield. So you all probably knew this was coming. David Copperfield is my favorite book. My third favorite book. So pretty close. It's in the top 3. But anyways, David Copperfield is just basically about this guy trying to get this girl, and he fails so many times, and it's just so sweet when he finally gets the girl at the end. That's what I really love about this book. And I really don't have many bad things to say about it, honestly. It's one of his perfect novels. The only thing I'll say is that it might not be deemed as well by other people. You know, it's not seen as his greatest work. Charles Dickens himself thought this was his greatest work, but his audience doesn't see it as that way as much. But, you know, I agree with Dickens. I think this was his best book. I really do. I just think that it manages to end on just the right note. But, anyways, it is a very good book, and definitely check it out. And it's not about the magician, just to let you know. This has nothing to do with the magician, this book. Also, I'm sorry Oliver Twist and A Tale of Two Cities wasn't on this list. I think they're great books, but they just didn't make the top 5. I just had to narrow it down, so this was my decision. And remember, think big and think Dickens.